never be a memory.
And what's going on, Read My Lips people? We are back. So holy smokes, it looks like old Sleepy Joe has won South Carolina with Bernie coming in as number 2. Joe Biden has done it. He's won South Carolina. Don't ask me why, but it seems he does really well with older black folks. And I think the polls show that 70% of the voters were over the age of 45. So they're really comfortable with a sleepy, handsy Uncle Joe Biden. So what's pretty much going to happen is the media is going to run this as Joe's comeback and try to give him momentum going into Super Tuesday. He might get a small boost, but at the end of the day, honestly, it's not going to make much of a difference going forward. But, you know, I'll give the man his due. He's managed to convince older black people that he should be the nominee and that he should and can defeat Donald Trump. It's not happening. But so that's the play for today. That's what's going on today. That's what all the media is going to talk about, whether it's on YouTube or, you know, CNN or MSNBC. They're going to be talking about Joe Biden and how he performed. And they called it. Listen, they called it like 1% was in. For Nevada, I think Bernie was at like 2%, and Fox News called it first. And like MSNBC and the rest of them, but mostly MSNBC, they waited the longest to call it. They waited, I want to say, like over an hour to call it. Where usually when one news station calls it, the rest follow suit like immediately. MSNBC was like, no, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. Let's just wait. But Biden was at 1% because they got the exit polling. They called it. He won, and he won big. He won big. So, you know, kudos to him. Kudos to him. I'm not the biggest Biden fan. There's a lot worse than Biden out there running right now, to be honest. Not the biggest Biden fan. I think he has his cognitive abilities are on the decline, like seriously. But he did what he had to do. Somehow, some way, he swayed older black folks. That being said, Andrew Yang has said that Bloomberg has made a crucial mistake. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got some Yang analysis. And I guess what Yang is saying is Bloomberg didn't do what he needed to do as far as South Carolina is concerned. So I have a clip here, actually, about Yang talking about it. Pretty much talking about why a decision made by Michael Bloomberg could and did help propel Joe Biden in this race for the nomination. Let's watch.
I remember when I was in the field and Bloomberg declared, and we were very, very concerned about what state he was going to enter in. And to me, Bloomberg made a really crucial mistake by not getting in on South Carolina because he was on the debate stage in South Carolina. He had many endorsements, including from mayors in South Carolina. And advertising really works in South Carolina. If he'd put his ad dollars to work in South Carolina, I believe he'd have double digits tonight and he'd be suppressing Biden's margin of victory. But the fact that he waited till Super Tuesday is going to give Joe a real burst of momentum, and I think it's going to be potentially a difference maker.
And he also ran into a buzzsaw named Elizabeth Warren on the debate stage, who really, I think, in some ways exposed him as somebody who in the past obviously endorsed and supported Republicans like Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, talking about his record in terms of stop and frisk, as well as discrimination lawsuits at his businesses. So there was one thing for him to spend all this money, $400 million, on campaign ads, but somebody else showed up and in some ways was exposed.
Well, I mean, the question is not whether he should have gotten into South Carolina. That's one question. Another is, should he have gotten into the debates before Super Tuesday? There was always that danger of the Wizard of Oz thing where you have to step out from behind the commercials, and he lost in that.
So let's just go over this. Let's go over what he said. Yang said, to me, Bloomberg made a really crucial mistake by not getting in on South Carolina because he was on the debate stage in South Carolina. He had many endorsements, including from mayors in South Carolina, and advertising really works in South Carolina. If he had put in his ad dollars to work in South Carolina, I believe he'd have double digits tonight, and he'd be suppressing Biden's margin of victory. But the fact that he waited for Super Tuesday is going to give Joe a burst of momentum, which is exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. Again, Yang dropping jewels. Yang dropping jewels. And look, I remember, was it a week or so ago when it was announced that Andrew Yang would be on CNN, a lot of people were skeptical. A lot of people. And me, I was skeptical at first. Like, I really had to do some soul searching and really ask myself if I was okay with him being on there. But the more I see him on there, the more I hear what he has to say, the better I think he makes CNN. And the better I think he makes the people that are sitting in those chairs behind those desks at CNN. Because he brings a whole new perspective and a whole new respect for himself in that room with those people. I think they get a different light that they usually don't get when they're in their bubble. And I think it's been nothing but beneficial for Andrew Yang and for the people watching CNN. But yeah, Bloomberg is pretty much bankrolling his own campaign and did not contest the first 4 nominating states, including South Carolina. Instead, Bloomberg has unleashed a vast ad campaign in the 15 states and territories that hold nominating contests during Super Tuesday, hoping he can take a chunk of the delegates that are up for grabs March 3rd. However, Bloomberg may have trouble making headway on that day as he was savaged earlier this month during a debate in Nevada in which he was attacked for his past defense of this horrible, horrible stop and frisk policy and his prior treatment of women, garnering an avalanche of negative headlines. The media, ironically, isn't so fond of Bloomy. So, look, it's going to be interesting to see how he performs on Super Tuesday. I don't see Bloomberg taking the nomination. I don't. I think more people are detested by him than like him. People that are being pragmatic and for the people that are trying to be strategic with a Bloomberg, like, oh, I know he's horrible, but he is the person that best beats Trump and blah, 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 blah. I think it's bullshit. I think you're making that up because it sounds good to you. But there's nothing that shows that Bloomberg is the person to beat Trump. Like, where are you getting that from? Honestly, if you were to look at numbers, just straight up take your feelings out of it and look at numbers, now that Yang's not in the race, the next person that numerically has the best chance of beating Donald Trump would be a Bernie Sanders. So, again, I'm not telling you to go for Bernie Sanders. I'm just saying number-wise would be a Bernie Sanders. So I'm not sure why people are saying, like, oh, of course, Bloomberg's the best shot. Like, where are you getting that from? He has no personality. A lot of people don't like him. He does not have a grassroots strong following. See, Trump, not only does he have a grassroots strong following, when you look at his donations, it's not that high. Like, his average donation is still $40. So even though Trump gets and got money from, special interests, etc., he still has a lot of grassroots loyal followers. Bloomy doesn't have that. He's literally carpet bombed his way into, with using money, his way into this election. Like, I don't see what people are saying. Like, if I take all my feelings aside, all my emotions aside, I just don't see it. I don't see how a Bloomberg would stand an iota of a chance against Donald Trump. But yeah, Joe Biden crushed it in South Carolina. He crushed it. Man, oh man, did he crush it. But, Yang called it. Yang gave his share, and, He was on point. But the Bloomberg talk is not over. Andrew Yang also dropped something that I thought was quite interesting that obviously Bloomy can do with the massive amounts of money that he has. So Andrew Yang came out and said Bloomberg's massive digital operation dwarfs DNC data and resources. Now, goddamn. Now it makes sense why Bloomberg has done as well as he has for somebody that didn't appear in the debates, has a lot of negativity surrounding him. How he was able to perform so well in the polls, and it's because he's shitting on the DNC. You got to remember, the DNC was even in trouble at one point. Hillary was literally pretty much funding the DNC. Like, they were one and the same, right? Barbara was giving her answers. We had Debbie Wasserman Schultz and her fuckery. And Hillary was keeping the DNC afloat, just money-wise. I mean, Bloomy himself just gave the DNC $1 million, which is why they changed the debate rules for him to get on that debate stage, because he did not qualify. But yeah, Andrew Yang said Bloomberg's data operation is leaps and bounds ahead of anything the Democratic Party has at its disposal, which is insanity. That's insanity. That's sad. It's sad. That's sad. Andrew Yang went on to say, I had coffee with a marketing staffer from my campaign, and I was concerned. What are you going to do next? And he said, don't worry about it. I'm working at the Bloomberg campaign, and they're paying me 2.5 times what I got here. He got 2.5 times, motherfucker. Wow. He said they have this massive operation that's leaps and bounds ahead of anything the DNC is employing in terms of data and resources. Now, when I first heard this, I was surprised, but the more and the more and the more and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. The DNC has its head stuck up its ass, and they're so out of touch, not only with what the people want, but what's going on. Remember, Andrew Yang was the one to talk about automation. Andrew Yang, and what I was talking about for a long time, was the one to talk about how online is crushing brick and mortar. And the DNC, they didn't give a fuck about that. They weren't interested in candidates about that were bringing that up. And to prove it, they weren't interested in Andrew Yang. So this doesn't surprise me. Yang went on to say that Bloomberg's digital war room is what sets the former New York City mayor apart from the rest. They've got this incredible data projection down to the district, down to the delegate, and they're mapping it and simulating it. Only when Bloomberg has a clear picture from the data that he's not going to be contributing, he'll be out, is what Yang said. So I actually have a clip with Yang saying this and breaking it down. We're going to watch that, and then we're going to come back.
The candidate.
I want to tell
so it's a whole different
I want to
thing.
tell a Bloomberg story, though. I think it'll be helpful. So I had coffee with a marketing staffer from my campaign, and I was concerned, what are you going to do next? And he said, don't worry about it. I'm working at the Bloomberg campaign, and they're paying me 2.5 times what I got paid here. And they have this massive operation that is leaps and bounds ahead of anything the DNC is employing in terms of data and resources. They have their own digital war room. So, Gloria, when you ask how is Bloomberg going to make this decision, they've got this incredible data projection
Algorithm.
down to the district, down to the delegate, and they're mapping it and simulating it. And Bloomberg saying, okay, if we get this in this place, as soon as he has a clear picture from the data that he's not going to be contributing, he'll be out.
But that's what I was telling you before. What they are saying tonight is that their analytics suggest that the project of stopping Bernie Sanders or slowing him down would be better served by him being in for this round than out. That may have changed because of how Biden performed tonight. But that is what that big war room is suggesting right now.
That's fascinating. Still ahead.
So, yeah. I mean, there's even more. What they're saying tonight is that their analytics suggest that the project of stopping Bernie, because this is don't be fooled. This is what it's about. Bloomberg don't got a fucking problem with Trump. They buds. They golf. They're cool. This is the Stop Bernie Sanders. This is Project Stop Sanders. This is what this is about. If this was a fucking series on Netflix, you'd be watching it. You'd binge watch it. It's Project Stop Bernie. That's what they're on. That the project of stopping Bernie Sanders or slowing him down would be better served by him being in for this round than out. They may have changed because of how Biden performed tonight, but that is what the big war room is suggesting right now. Bloomberg, who skipped the early voting states to bank on Super Tuesday, has the most expansive ad budget of any of the candidates seeking the Democratic presidential nomination, flooding the zone with commercials attacking Trump and promising to defeat him in the November general election at a price tag of over $500 million. Yeah, so, I mean, it's all hands in. Like, Bloomberg's all hands in. And he looks like he's being strategic with it. So, really, this is a case of, let's see just how far Bloomberg's money can get him. Will his money get him the nomination? I don't know. We shall see. I don't know how far his money is going to get him. But, you know, if he's being as strategic as it's being laid out here, then he might just go far. But, like Yang said earlier, if he was being strategic, he should have been doing work in South Carolina. But he skipped it. He pretty much skipped it and let Joe Biden eat. So I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what his, digital war room laid out for him. But to me personally, it would have made sense to perform well in South Carolina. Because, why wouldn't you want to? So that's what I have for you today. Quite interesting data. Yang dropping jewels and Biden crushing in South Carolina. Bernie coming in at number 2. And Tom Steyer has dropped out. Tom Steyer has dropped out of the 2020 race. Look, he was in it for quite a while. At one point, nobody liked him. At another point, he just existed and nobody had any, feelings toward him at all, whether positive or negative. At another point, everybody started to like Steyer. They started, this Steyer's guy cool. When he was fucking with Bernie, when he was cool with Bernie, I just want to say hi, Bernie, and everybody started to become cool with Tom Steyer. And then he also started to perform really well in South Carolina. But then he quickly tanked again because he really had no substance to him. He had no path to victory, and he's dropped out of the race. So, good on you, Steyer. It was interesting while it lasted, to say the least. But I'm not gonna be shedding any tears. But I didn't hate the guy or anything. I didn't hate Tom Steyer, and he did at different points of time bring up good points that nobody else was saying. But he did have that cloud over his head as just another billionaire who bought his way into relevancy. So yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Joe Biden performing well in South Carolina? I'm not surprised. It's always been projected he'd perform well. I don't think it's going to make a big difference at all, like in the long run of things. Do you think Bloomy is going to buy his way into the nomination? What do you think of Steyer dropping out? And what do you think of Yang's knowledge he just dropped? Are they ever going to freaking listen? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm always interested to hear your guys' takes. And when I get the opportunity, I try to comment back on what you guys are saying. Even if we have to agree to disagree, I love interacting with you guys. And it's a hell of a race. So if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. If you don't, let me know in the comment section why. I'm always down to talk about it. I have a Cash App, a PayPal, and a Venmo link in the description below. Please feel free to donate to the channel. Every little bit helps, keeps me going. Hopefully I'll be talking to you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying.